Hi, I'm Peter Wolfl, and welcome to Careers. After 18 years of being a professional engineer and working in management-related types of jobs, Gero Hajek, our first guest, decided to become a professional photographer by purchasing a PhotoPet franchise. He now regularly goes to clients' homes to capture their pets on film. Our second guest is Martin Solarskyj, and he is the co-founder of PhotoPet International Corporation, which began in 1982 with an investment of $50. They now claim to be well on their way to becoming the largest operation of its kind throughout North America. Welcome, gentlemen, to Careers.
Hi, how are you?
Martin, starting with you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you even got the idea and what prompted you and motivated you to go into this line of work.
Well, thank you, Peter. I was employed as a professional photographer for a very major, large company here in Toronto, and after several years I found that the opportunities were very limited. I actually got bored and decided to try something else.
But why pet photography?
Well, Peter, the idea originated from a flea market. My partner and co-founder, Archie Marshall, actually was advertising the flea market one weekend, and he was advertising his wedding photography services. Didn't really get too much business in that end, but with the few pictures he had with the pets, he found that the business was overwhelming, and that got us thinking.
So he just happened to have a few animal pictures along with his wedding pictures.
That's right. It was as easy as that. If we weren't in the flea market that weekend, we never would be here today.
Okay. Is this a good business to be in?
I think it's a fantastic business. It's probably the biggest opportunity for anybody wanting to get involved in professional photography today.
I think you bounced off some statistics before saying that there's about 12 million pets in Canada.
Well, that's right. In North America, there are over 100 million pets in North America, and as far as I know, it's the largest untapped market in North America for a professional photographer.
Okay. So what kind of problems did you face in starting up the company?
The problems were basically not being able to keep up with the demand. We found out that getting the work was no problem. Everybody wanted to have it done. Everyone was interested. It was an idea that was before its time, and we, quite frankly, could never keep up to the work, and we were always thinking of how we could expand.
Come on, it couldn't always be that easy.
It was. There were years when we had lists of people wanting to have a pet photograph, waiting for up to a year and a half before we finally got around and contacted them.
Is that right?
Yes.
How did you generate the demand? How did you get the word out that you were even in business?
We didn't do an awful lot of advertising. That's a very good question. We found that we were able to promote ourselves in people places and consumer shows. Wherever there are crowds of people, we usually put on a display, and without any problem at all, we attracted all kinds of work and business for ourselves.
So you'd have a display with a series of pictures.
That's right. That's right.
Some of the work that you've done.
That's right. One year alone in the CNE, this Canadian National Exhibition here in Toronto, we received well over 5,000 leads for our business.
Incredible.
Yes, it was.
Well, that should have kept you busy for a few days.
Well, it sure did.
And what about the Petmobile? What's that all about?
Okay, well, we spawned another idea, and this was the Petmobile. Now, our major problem was providing greater accessibility to the public, and by using a converted bus that we had converted into a studio, we were able to reach far more people that way. We had actually traveled to other cities, to towns outside the Toronto region, and basically anybody that wanted to do a promotion in pet stores, pet businesses, and things like that. So we were traveling all over Southern Ontario with the Petmobile.
And people just brought their animals up to your Petmobile, and then you took pictures of them.
That's correct. We would have lineups that would sometimes start at 9 o'clock in the morning and stretch right until 6 or 7 in the evening. It was just amazing.
There's no better promotions than some lineups, right?
That's right, that's right.
So what finally got you interested in becoming a franchisor?
Well, again, wider distribution. We were looking at methods of gaining as much wide exposure as we could, and one of the things that we looked at was franchising. Now, we knew franchising was very popular for many other businesses, and we wondered whether we could use the franchising concept with PhotoPet, and we experimented, and we found out it does work.
What does your company do for the franchisees?
We basically provide what is called a turnkey operation. It's everything from the training to the equipment to the supplies that they will need, to the promotional materials, as well as the marketing support and any other moral support that they could want.
Do you generate leads for them as well? Sales contacts?
We do it indirectly. The head office, we do some major shows and promotional activities that do bring in leads. However, much of the work is generated from the franchise network itself.
Okay. Gero, why the big switch from being an engineer to a photographer? That's quite a change.
It was one heck of a big change, and it was not without a lot of thinking and soul-searching on my part. I guess I've always been interested in photography ever since I was a kid. And I remember the first camera I had was a Kodak Instamatic that, whether I knew what I was doing or not, took some great pictures. And I graduated to a 35mm camera and started to become quite a good amateur photographer. I entered some contests and got prizes there. I had some displays, and I really started to enjoy that. All the time working in the engineering and management field. I guess I became a bit burnt out and a little tired of all the politics that I was having to go through. It was a series of very good, high-paying jobs that I had, and I learned one heck of a lot from them. But I needed a change, and photography is something I'd always liked, and when I made the switch finally, it was a big weight off my shoulder, and I also was doing something I enjoyed doing and getting paid for it.
What was your last job before becoming a photographer?
I was the corporate purchasing manager for a large North American or worldwide corporation based in Markham.
Oh boy. So weren't you scared to death of making a switch like this?
I certainly was.
I mean, who wants to leave the security of having all that money come in on a regular paycheck? And
yeah, that's exactly it. I had the security, I had very good income. I wasn't as comfortable as I wanted to be, and I thought the quality of my life was more important than money. Yes, I was scared because going from a high-paying job with all kinds of pension benefits, OHIP paid for, everything paid for, to my own business, depending on myself, with nobody to guide me and no one to discipline me, that was scary. I did a lot of thinking, and I made the break. I wasn't sure where I would get to, but I knew I had to do it, and it's paid off very well.
So photography originally started as a hobby for you, and became a career. Well, I've heard that story before.
Yes.
What kind of adjustments did you have to make to feel comfortable running your own business? And by the way, and even before you answer that, tell me, did you already know about this franchise organization?
No. When I decided to make the break, I didn't know about the franchise operation, but I knew that I wanted to get into photography. Photography and the creative arts have always been part of my life and my family background. The type of adjustments I had to make, besides the obvious ones in setting up my own business and the discipline, there were some surprising ones. I found that since I worked out of my own home, I had to go through some psychological adjustment in separating the business aspect of my life, of my home life, from the personal aspect, and I found that I had real problem separating the two. I have that down fairly well now, but that is one of the unexpected things I had to do. And the discipline, getting up at a certain time and not having to be at the office at a certain time, that took some doing. I thought I was well disciplined.
Right. If you're independent, I guess there's a real tendency to feel like sleeping in till noon, right?
Oh, for sure. Especially when I've had a fairly nice sale, then, hey, I don't have to work for a couple of weeks. But it took a while, and I'm into a nice routine now.
Okay. And what made you decide to become a franchisee instead of staying independent?
Well, I was down at the exhibition a year and a half ago at the CNE, and I saw this booth with all these people crowded around and some nice pictures of pets up on the walls and the displays. And I thought, this is interesting, I can do that. And I saw a sign, franchises available. I didn't have the intention at first to become a franchiser. I just wanted to do some photography on a part-time basis, but they were looking for franchisers. I was a bit doubtful, but
Franchisees.
That's right. I looked into it, and it made sense. You know, I looked at the potential sales, how many I could handle per week on a part-time basis. I was still working full-time then. And it made sense. The average sale was being advertised to be a certain amount, and I thought, I think I can do this. I'll give it a try.
Did you meet Martin at the CNE then?
I met Martin just a bit later. There was somebody else handling the booth at the time.
I see. Okay. What kind of commitments did you have to make upon becoming a franchisee?
There was the initial franchise fee, which I'm very fortunate when I entered it, the fee was quite low. It's more than tripled since then, so I'm one of the fortunate ones. And I have to pay a certain royalty for each sale that I make back to the company. I have a well-defined territory. I'm responsible for my own advertising.
Okay, first of all, let's talk about the territory. So you cannot step beyond your territory into somebody else's.
That's correct, unless I work in cooperation with one of the other franchisers. Sometimes we work in groups in other locations.
How big a territory would someone typically get then?
It depends on the population. Toronto being the biggest one, it has more franchisees in that area than, say, somebody covering southern Ontario from London to Windsor, for instance. But I believe we have 3 in the Toronto area, somewhere in Etobicoke, North York, and I happen to have the one of the Toronto franchises.
Do you have to do you have to buy your supplies from the franchiser?
Yes, we have an obligation that we get our supplies and the processing done through the franchise. We have a contract with a very good local lab, and we pay them a royalty, and that's where our obligation ends.
We have to take a short break right now. When we return, we'll be back with our show about pet photography, and we're going to hear some interesting stories about some of the unusual pet shoots that they sometimes have to do. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Careers. We're joined today by Gero Hajek and Martin Solarskyj from PhotoPet International. Gero, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your company and what kind of services it provides and at what cost.
I guess in its most basic terms, I make memories for people through photography. The way our operation works is that I bring my portable studio equipment into people's homes and set it up there. We get the pet to pose on the special table that we've built, and that takes a lot of doing and a lot of humorous incidents we come across there. We have little squeaky toys that get them to sit up, and
use pounds.
Yes, snacks.
Right.
We take a roll of 12 usually shots in one roll, and that can take anywhere from half an hour to 2 hours. It depends on the pet and how cooperative it is. We do families also, and that's a slightly different situation.
So do you charge an hourly fee then? Or how does it work?
The normal way that this works would be to charge a sitting fee, which varies with the situation, anywhere from $5 to $50. And then the people, after we come back with the proofs, we show them, the clients get to select which ones they want, and then we charge them according to the type of print that they want. It can be large, small, framed, unframed, different types of finishes. The prices range from just over $30 to well over $100, depending on how...
On the size of the picture.
Exactly, and all of the different features. And they're professional portraits.
Martin, are all your franchisees this motivated and excited about their job?
They sure are. I think for most of them it's a fantastic opportunity, and I believe they're loving every minute of it.
Good, well, I hope so. What do you look for in a franchisee when you pick them?
We look for someone that who genuinely wants a good opportunity. There is just so much competition in the photography industry, and it's very difficult to get started today for someone, whether it would be a young person or even someone that's looking for a change in career. We do believe we have a very good opportunity for someone to get involved without having to spend an arm and a leg to get involved in their own business.
Talk about an arm and a leg. What would it cost?
The franchise fee is very reasonable. Right now, they're $10,000 for a franchise.
Okay, and then what does that include?
Well, the franchise fee is basically for the complete program, the training from beginning to end, and we do enroll everyone in what we call the PhotoPet School of Marketing and Photography. It's a lot different from the courses that are provided in colleges and things like that. But
what do they learn?
They learn the business aspects of running a business. We do the basic photography training, of course, but primarily we teach them how to run a business, and that is the thing that most people are lacking today.
And how long does the course take?
4 weeks. It runs over 4 weeks in total, and it's primarily done on the weekends.
Okay, what about royalties? They pay you an ongoing service fee of some kind?
Yes, they do. The royalty is there is an ongoing there is an ongoing royalty fee right now. It is very moderate compared to the profits that they are making, and it is again to provide the ongoing services which these franchisees require.
And for that, you help pay for advertising and things like that, which helps generate the leads.
Well, that's part of it, but primarily the royalties are designed to provide the support services, the motivation, the different educational programs that we come up with, and to make sure that the quality of the products is consistent. That is, those are the main reasons.
Enough business talk for a few minutes. Gero, tell us about some of the fun stuff now. How do you manage to keep those animals still?
Oh, there's many ways besides hitting them over the head. We learn different ways on this course, but also we learn our own techniques. It depends if it's a dog, a cat, if they're singly or in groups. Something to get their attention for just 1 or 2 seconds while you're flashing the camera. That's all it takes. And some of them are quite difficult, especially some of the older, stubborn, independent pets.
What kind of models would you say they typically make?
Ranging from excellent to very poor.
Downright stubborn.
Very stubborn. No, I really enjoy it. It seems more like fun than work. It really does. And using squeaky toys, little snacks, a string for cats, for instance, a feather or something like that. Get their attention. You just have to get them to look at the camera for that split second, and then you snap it, and you've got a good picture.
Would the owner of the pet help you in getting their attention?
Yes, sometimes we enlist the owner because I'm concentrating on getting the setup and the right picture and the right focus, and I let the owner, I've learned from hard experience and many scratches, to let the owner handle the pet, him or herself.
So you have suffered injuries once in a while?
Yes, I've been bitten and scratched, but nothing serious or life-threatening.
Okay, no rabies?
No, I don't think so.
What kind of pets do you typically photograph? Cats and dogs? Would that be?
Yeah, mostly it's cats and dogs, although I've photographed a whole variety of different pets. Some of the more unusual ones recently would be a pet squirrel, which kept running up and down the wires and the backdrop and up my arm. It must have thought I was a nut because it kept on trying to chew on me. But we got some good pictures of that. And I've photographed a whole household full of pets, 26 pets in one household. Probably my most fascinating shoot that I've ever done. This lady had...
She owned all those pets?
Oh yes, and the house was quite clean and it didn't smell at all. It was a very nice environment for the pets. 14 cats, 3 dogs, hamsters, guinea pigs, rats, and I photographed them all.
No alligators or tigers yet, though?
I haven't done those yet, but looking forward to that.
It also turned out to be an incredible sale.
One of my best yet, yes.
Fantastic. How about in your experience, Martin, from some of the other franchisees? Have they had some very exotic types of pets that they've shot at times?
In the past, some of the franchisees have taken pictures from a variety of exotic animals, anything from tarantulas to iguanas. But again, you know, for the sake of our business, most of it is the domestic household pets, dogs and cats, and exotic birds.
Okay.
A lot of families too. We don't just do pets, we also do family photography. It's a major part of our business lately.
Right, that was going to be my next question.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. Now, getting into families, is that not going to kind of diminish your appeal right now? You're known as Photo Pet. Now, why would I, as a consumer, want to be photographed by Photo Pet? I'm just wondering, or do you have a different name for that set of companies?
No.
Does the people?
No, that is one of the marketing secrets. Again, to be successful in business, we had to go after a niche in the market, and that was
Right.
the pets. So that started us off. However, we're finding that the business is booming. Primarily, we are a mobile marketing group of photographers. We go into people's homes, we acquire the business, and quite simply, we're stealing away a lot of business from independent studios. People who run studios, they basically are waiting for the work to come to them. We do not work for the work. We do not wait for the work. We actually go into people's homes, and we are aggressive enough to steal away some of this business from under their noses.
Yeah, well, that's just one extra service that you provide that the competition doesn't.
Well, it's an extra service, but again, it's a big part of our service. Doing the pets gives us the stability for someone to get involved in opening up their own photography business, but the market is fantastic with a wide opportunity. The portrait market is absolutely huge, and this is what we're going after. Pets is just one small aspect of the portrait market.
And the reason you originally went into people's homes was because you wanted to make the pets feel more comfortable, right?
That was primarily the reason. We found out through trial and error, and again, we did try in the beginning on-location shoots in establishments and pet stores. We tried the mobile studio, but we found out that the best way to take a picture of a pet is actually going to the pet's home. The pet is much more relaxed, and that's where the pet is comfortable. So we now go to, we cater to the pet.
What do you think about your competition?
Surprisingly, it hasn't caught up to us yet. We're so far ahead of any competition, and we are noticing that a lot of people are starting to do pets or add pets to their portrait services. However, we do not have any major competition, and that's a good sign.
Do you think that your franchising operation has been successful then?
Fantastically so, yes.
Tell us some numbers. How well has it done over the years since it began in 1982?
Well, we started the business in 1982, and we started with an employee system. However, in May of 1987, we first started the franchise. Since May of '87, we have opened up about 42 different territories in Southern Ontario, and the room for expansion is unlimited. We foresee in the near future as many as 2,000 independent franchisees in North America.
What I find really interesting about this is the fact that your franchisees are operating out of their home. Usually when you think about a franchisee, you think about somebody having to have a store like McDonald's or Burger King or something, right?
Yes, well, that's a
with a
good
major
question.
investment.
That's right.
The fact is that they're operating out of their home.
We're no different than the other organizations such as Molly Maid, Mary Kay Cosmetics, or anyone else.
So the overheads are low.
The overheads are low. That's the strong point. That's one of the reasons why people want to get involved with us.
Gero, is this a full-time occupation for you?
It can be if I wanted it to be. It all depends on how much money I want to make. I'm quite heavily involved right now in a volunteer organization, volunteer project. The high school I attended, Parkdale Collegiate, is celebrating its 100th anniversary this May, and I am the executive chairman of the Alumni Association. And that's taking a fair amount of my time right now, and I'm quite proud of that. So I could devote a lot more time to making money and making my own franchise grow. I'm making as much as I choose to, and I'm comfortable with that.
So what are your plans for the future?
Once this reunion celebration is over, I intend to make this grow. The amount I can make is almost unlimited. I could hire extra staff to do the photography for me. 60 to 100,000 is quite comfortable. It's quite within range if I wanted to keep it a one-man operation with a part-time assistant, for instance.
Okay. And Martin, maybe you can tell us about your company's future plans.
Well, currently we are concentrating our expansion efforts in Southern Ontario. There's room for about 125 franchisees, and there are still a lot of available territories. But as soon as that's taken care of, then there's no limit to our future, and we will be expanding outside of Ontario.
Other provinces, or maybe into southern states?
Other provinces, that is a certainty, but New York State would obviously be the first choice as well.
That's about all the time we have today. Gero and Martin, thank you very much for joining us today on Careers. I'm Peter Wolfl, and from all of us here at the studio, good luck in your own career.